Welcome to the Sounds of Real Estate from the Advised Realty Services Studio in Southington, Connecticut. My guest this evening, thank you so much for coming, Melanie Miranda from Apex Radon Solutions. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. This is something cool that I've always wanted to. We always hear about radon as real estate agents in our daily showings or inspections. I think is more or less when they come up. So it's really good that we could sit down and talk about this, which super pumped about. So Melanie, tell me a little bit about a background on Apex Radon Solutions, more or less your background of real estate. So I know you also have other involvement. So what's the background story here?
I went to school, college, to be a dental hygienist. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, no, I did not know that. My wife's a hygienist.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I loved it, and I was really passionate about helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And then my husband, one day, we're on a trip, and he said he wanted to own his own business. So he started his home inspection business.
Was it like a relaxing trip, and he just?
Yeah, we were on our way down to North Carolina.
Oh,
actually,
okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even a few drinks in. This
No.
is driving. Like, let's start and.
Yeah, and I asked a question, and I never expected him to say he wanted to own his own business. So we had a couple rental properties,
Mm-hmm.
and at the time, and so we just started looking into it, and then he started it first, and then I stopped dental hygiene and jumped in with him, and it's been very successful. And so then about a year and a half ago, when the market started getting a little weird and crazy, I said, this is our only income. What do we do? And another couple local companies closed, so it seemed like the right thing to do to help people. And our goal is always to be a resource, so just kind of naturally fit in. So it's been great.
I love that. So, coming from, so it's funny, oddly, like Gina, my wife was a hygienist, now transition. Well, she's still a hygienist. She actually just got a real estate license about a year or so ago. So I was telling her the transition, obviously it's different from what you're doing every day, but sort of the same. You're helping people, you're, advising them, helping them like through their, hey, floss, brush, don't brush too hard, get this toothbrush, check this out. So like you're always talking to them about what they should be doing, should not be doing, but it's like a caring thing. Like you're coming from clients that you have, I'm sure you like see them every 6 months, right? Is it 6 or whatever?
3 to 6.
3 to 6.
They tell you everything that
everything that's going on.
They trust you. It's like a trust.
Yeah,
it's a strong trust. It's
absolutely.
Awesome.
So it's a thing that you're, so transitioning into what you're doing now, it's obviously still a trust thing. You're looking out for people's best interests. You're taking care of them, whether it's through inspections or through the radon. So, I would love to talk about the radon. So you going through the crazy market, which we all know, at that time, you start thinking about this radon business. And so how do you get started, or like what drew you to that in particular?
So it was a need, and real estate agents, they reach out to us all the time, and they're asking for suggestions. And nobody really thinks about, I would say real estate agents don't really think about how to fix radon unless it's high, right? So we test it, and then they're like, okay, we go on with our life. And then if it's high, even if it's and if you've been a seasoned agent for years, they still call and they say, okay, so what do I do?
Yeah.
And my answer now is different than it was before, because I thought that you would just do a pipe and a fan and you're good, right? But knowing now that every house is different, right? And every number is different for radon. So after the radon gets to a certain point, it needs to have more care. Like it might need more pipes or more like a stronger fan, or depending on if it's a newer house or older house, the fan style might differ. Yeah.
So I think it's funny because for agents, a lot of times I feel like it's like that test, like when you take a test and like you're waiting for the grade and like you look at it, you're like, what did I get? So radon is sort of, we're testing for radon. And like when you go back, you look and you're like, is it 3? Is it 2? Is it underneath that 4?
Is it 0.3 or is it 3?
Yeah.
Or 3 point. And the worst, I think, numbers are like action. So radon's an odorless, colorless gas that comes from the soil. And it's everywhere in the atmosphere, so it only gets like it's more of a problem when it's trapped in the house, right? And nobody really knows it's there unless they test. But I see them with a report, and then they're like, wait, is this true? And then if we get like this really high number, which is not uncommon, they like very alarmed because you don't see it all the time.
No, I can't. I know I did have a high number once, and it was think it was almost like we had to go back and test it again because it was like ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, we had like a 700, 150. Like, we get all these different numbers. So.
Yeah, it was like SAT shitty scores. But like, so those numbers, so, you know, getting a rate, so again, like not a lot of people, and I got to be totally honest with you, I knew little things about homes before I, you know, was into real estate. But when I went to my first home inspection, I mean, I never forget, I went home and I was like, exterminator's got to come through this house. You know, like you got to look at everything. I want you underneath the house. We might have Japanese beetles. Like I was like all over, like I need radon. I need the well tested. Like, you know, all that stuff that we really don't think of, you know? So I think it's like really important. So what are some things that, I mean, you were just saying, is it something that you see a lot more like older homes? Does it matter? Like new construction homes?
We see it house to house.
Mm-hmm.
You might see one, you can go through a neighborhood and you'll see 2 houses with radon mitigation systems, and then you'll see some without. So it's, you have to have it, your house works like a straw, right? And it pulls from the earth. So there's uranium underneath there first, and depending on where the house is. But it could be new houses, older houses, slabs, like you could have crawl spaces, but no house is, like every house should be tested.
I think it's kind of, you never know until you test it.
Right.
But then when you test it, it's obviously something. I remember there was a condo complex in Branford that I remember first going to for a showing, and like literally every house, every condo on the corner had that white pipe going up the side, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, so this is a house where at that time, I think I was in it for like a year in real estate. So when I saw the pipe, I was able to explain like, hey, this is a radon system. This is the reason why they have it.
Well, that's good you explained it. That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people like look at it and they're like, "What's that white pipe? Is it a vent?" And then when it comes up, so I think it's good to always get in front of situations and explain to people whether they're selling or buying, like, "Hey, the new buyers might be doing a radon test." Well, I don't know if we have radon. Well, if you do, here's what needs to happen. And the other thing is like when the radon, I mean, let's just say an inspection goes and the test comes back that the radon is high, that's where people look into mitigation systems.
Yeah, and there's nothing to be worried about if it comes back high. We've had a couple situations where somebody will go to buy a house and it's high, so they get scared and they walk away, even though we've told them, you know, it's just, you should mitigate, and then we just monitor it, right? And then they'll go to, I can think of one certain instance where they went to another house and that was even higher. So then they were like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to buy this house. And then they mitigated. But the first house could have been, you know, fine for them as well.
Yeah.
So I don't like people to get scared. But one of the things we see a lot when you're looking for a house, like to be a tip for a real estate agent, or even when somebody's going to look to buy a house, to look, see if there's any sump pumps, if there's any pits that are open, any areas that are cracks in the foundation floor, or in the floor of the basement, and then if there's any crawl spaces. So those would all be questions when you call for a quote or help with a radon system. We're going to ask you all those questions.
Excellent. Yeah, so I think crawl spaces, I mean, we have a crawl space, and I feel like really never know. Like now I have it sealed off and spray foam and everything, so it's like kind of never know what's going on. But I always think, like, now you're making me think, like, oh my God, I gotta
well, what you should do is test the room above the crawl space. So you test the lowest possible livable level, right? And then the lowest possible livable level above the crawl space would be tested as well.
All right.
So not just do you have
Can
a
we
basement?
set that up for my house?
Yeah, sure.
This is excellent.
Do you have a basement?
No, we have a crawl space.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just a crawl space.
Just a crawl space.
Okay, so it would be the lowest, right above the crawl space.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So
Not in the crawl space. Sometimes you see that they set up radon test in the crawl space, but that's
no
not.
bueno.
No.
Yeah. So that's excellent. Mentioning the radon test. So again, at a home inspection, inspector comes up to you, says, "Hey, we're going to test for radon." Talk to me about the testing. How they're testing. I mean, I remember there's all different ones now, I feel like, right?
Yeah. And we've tested them side by side. So people are under the impression sometimes that some tests are better than the others. You want not a detector. A detector is not calibrated. You want a professional device, right? So the continuous monitors are calibrated. We send them every year to the lab, and they put them in a chamber, and they make sure that they're functioning properly. And then, or you can do a charcoal kit or a, if you're a homeowner. In a real estate transaction is really not time, but you can do a charcoal kit. You can get it like at through us, right? Or you can get them online or at like Home Depot or Lowe's. They have them as well. And those, as long as you follow directions properly, they should be great. And then after, so we're going to put it in the lowest possible livable level, but you want to do it like from your chest to your, or your knees to your chest, like that level. And then leave it a minimum 48 hours. But if you're doing one of the tests that you send into the lab, it's the time is of the essence. If you're doing a monitor, the longer you leave it, the more accurate like the results you'll get.
All right. And they say like no windows open and
Yep.
enclosed areas and everything. See, I'm more, I don't know, when it comes to something like that, I'd rather have a professional come in and test it rather than me looking at a Home Depot directions and figuring something out. No offense, Home Depot.
No, but it is a little confusing because I read the directions on that one myself, and it said it had this weird time frame, and I was going back and forth with the client on the phone, and we couldn't even really figure it out together.
Yeah. So I mean that to me I think is I don't know. I just feel like I would want somebody like a professional to come test it, and then system high. If the system comes back and it's high, I mean, we know that it's anything over 4 mitigation system. I mean, I don't want you quote.
What we really want in a real estate transaction, it was before, right? That's what we're always thinking about. But the World Health Organization wants it to be around 2.7. And they're saying, if you read the Citizen's Guide for radon, they want it to really be around 2. Oh. So we try to get the radon like just as low as possible. That's our goal.
Okay. And then if radon comes back, installing the system consists of.
Okay, so we just make an access in the floor.
Yeah, it's about a 4, isn't it? Like a 4-inch, 4-inch hole or something.
Yep. And then we take a 3-inch PVC pipe, and then you're going to. Well, first you dig out 2 to 10 gallons of dirt from under the floor. So you're making like a big void, and then we put the pipe in. We seal it with silicone at the bottom, and then you're going to bring the pipe out. Outside the house, and a fan is attached. So it's going to suction our goal is to get the radon out from underneath the floor, and then out the pipe and into the atmosphere.
Love that. So then I think one thing that we chatted about when we were on the phone was, I mean, when you're like, let's just say 2017, I purchased a home, radon came back at 4.1. You guys came in, put a mitigation system in. How long is it good for? Is it something that I have to keep my eye on? I know they have like the levels on it.
So the gauge on the pipe of the radon mitigation system is called a manometer. It's manometer. And so that's just showing if the fan's suctioning or not. It's not showing any radon levels. And the numbers are similar, so people get confused. And they think like, oh, it's suction, it's good because it looks like there's actually like 4s and stuff like that. So people get excited, but it's just showing if the fan's working or not. So it should be tested every year to 2 years.
Oh, see, I think that's super interesting because I think it's something like anything else. You want to monitor whatever's coming in and out of the home, and it's pretty. So how far do you dig down again?
We take gallons of dirt out, so it's just make a big void in there. Yeah,
and it's not like crazy. I mean, I don't want people thinking like if they're going to purchase a home and they need a radon, like they come in. It's not like a big machine that's coming in breaking their concrete.
Oh no,
like
we make an access hole, and it's and the technician is like digging with their hands out dirt, and they use a vacuum sometimes, but it depends on the age of the house and how the dirt is underneath.
Yeah.
So new construction would be a good thing to talk about if we could talk about
100%, yeah.
So in new construction, there's a code, and the code is that you put 4 inches of gravel before the foundation's poured in the poly mill layer, and then a pipe goes, and it's going to go through the house. So instead of like when we drive around neighborhoods and we see
on the outside.
So it'll be inside the house. And then it's called a passive system. It's not called it's not active because there's no fan. So it's just a pipe and it goes out of the roof. And then the other part of the code is that within 6 feet, there should be an active outlet in case it needs a fan. So what we're seeing a lot is that like plumbers are doing it or the builders and maybe not have the knowledge of radon. They're thinking it's a pipe just to put a pipe. And sometimes we're seeing them putting the fans, they're activating the fans and they're putting them inside the house, which they're never supposed to be inside a living space. And then, or like there's not enough room left, like where the eave is inside. So if they did need a fan, then it wouldn't have room.
Okay. So they shouldn't be plumbers and builders.
No, it's okay.
Should not be doing it.
As long as they know the code, as long as they're up on like, the what should be done.
Yeah.
I've called a couple towns recently and they do come and check, but I don't think they're able to see like the whole system. They're not looking for the whole system.
Yeah.
And then, so now you have this passive pipe, right? And the only way to know if it's working or not, or if you need to have a fan is to test for radon. So now you have to do a radon test. And then if it comes back above action level or above where you're comfortable, then we activate it with a fan.
Got it.
And that'll go in the attic.
Got it. And are you guys, is it just residential or do you guys do commercial? I'm almost positive we have a system here.
Yeah, we do commercial.
Yeah, so you do commercial.
And we
also.
service them as well. So like the couplers on above and below the fan, like they can crack over time and they're not sealed. The fans themselves, sometimes they get like a lot of gunk on them or.
Yeah. So it's always good to service. I'm almost positive. We'll when we leave, I'll take a look at it. But I'm almost positive we have one on this side. But as far as like the education, I love. I'm a big believer in like value and adding value to like our clients when they're going to look at homes. We obviously know, and I'm sure you know from the inspection part of it. For the past couple of years, we've had so many people who are going to purchase homes, and they're like, they waive inspection or, waive taking the house like as is.
Yep.
I mean, you yourself, you're in the industry. So, I mean, I feel like for me, it's something that I kind of never recommend. You know what I mean? I always say, like, even if you do it for informational purposes or you have a contractor that's coming in to look at it. I mean, are you guys seeing like a lot more people getting these tests done or like as it's coming back? I mean, when did you started this? What was a year ago?
Well, we've had the company for 4 years.
Yeah.
We started actively about almost 2 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it's obviously been a challenge because I feel like a lot of people are just saying, no, I'll just do whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. So people don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like, so they don't know. And that maybe, the real estate agent can tell them, hey, you know what, I know you're waiving the inspection, but as soon as you move in, get a radon test or something like that.
Yeah.
Usually people, it's like a toothache, right? Like I'm sure your wife tells you about that. It's like you don't, or your gums or something. You forget that nothing. There's no like sign that there's radon, so it's just like something that's easy to forget, right?
Yeah.
And then you might mention it, and then the person remembers, and then but usually it's like a neighbor or friend or family member is like, oh hey, I just tested and my house was high, and then the person might get nervous and then test theirs. So it's good to know. And also not wait till 20 years before you sell, and then people are very alarmed when it's high, and they're like, "Oh my God, how long have I been living like this?"
Yeah, because it could have effects on you too if you're in the home, Yeah. So it's definitely
the number one cause of lung cancer in non-smokers.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And now they're saying like some blood diseases and stuff with it. So.
Wow. So it's definitely something that people should definitely look at. As far as like the business itself. So you started, I mean, like about 2 years ago. It's basically when I went on kind of like my own too. So I think we were talking a little bit about it, not the stress, but the everyday of starting a business. And you started in a time where a lot of people kind of aren't doing those inspections. Did you feel like you went through a lot of like hurdles and stuff to get this message out to people to advise them like, hey, listen, radon's a serious thing. You guys need to really do it, like starting this type of business in this time? Like, you find like any challenges or?
Well, we partnered with National Radon Defense, which has been super helpful. They're out of Omaha, Nebraska, and they help disseminate information to people. And then on our website, I feel like that. And then when they do like a home test kit, then like the name will come to us, and then the people will call us. So that's been really good. But just really. Talking more, and people are working from home more now.
Yeah.
And they're concerned about their children and their pets. So that's a big thing that, that they're calling us.
Yeah.
We're seeing that more and more.
And I think that obviously the getting in front of people and letting them know, because a lot of people don't know. So I think that's a fantastic thing. So yeah, so owning a business, I mean, and Mark, right? Marco. Okay. Yeah. So both you guys owning a business, super hard to, obviously, when you're owning a business, to balance that work and lifestyle. How do you feel like it's because I feel like we're always on, right? I mean, it's your phone, like we were just talking about, I feel like it's just from morning to night. I mean, I feel like I sometimes struggle to find the balance. It's hard. Like I've been saying more and more, like I'm going home, I'm not bringing my computer home. And then I'm like staring at my phone at like 10 o'clock
you
trying
wish you had
to
your
like,
glasses on,
wish I had my glasses and everything like that. So how do you find the work balance, especially now? I feel like as you're getting busier. And
so Marco works through the night when I'm sleeping. He just is in bed. He orders his supplies on Amazon or through our, he does all the ordering and the supplies and the thinking and the visionary, and
love that.
It's and then I wake up and he tells me all his ideas, and
there you go.
He keeps going all day long. Yeah, it was. I try my best to be present, and it's really hard.
Yeah.
So I try to just put my phone down for a couple minutes. I'm talking to my kids. I'm like, hold on, just wait 1 minute so I can finish this so that we can talk.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like I want them to know I'm there for them, but they do understand. They see the benefits of of owning a business, and they see. So when I was a dental hygienist, I was in the office every day, right, and at certain hours, and then when I came home, my work was done, right, and I can spend time with them. But then there were so many things I missed because I wasn't there, right, like getting them from school, stuff like that. So this allows like flexibility, and so they appreciate it, and they'll say it too.
Oh,
but
100.
They're a little older probably. So.
Yeah, and I think I used to tell my, like the kids also, like whenever I'm looking at my phone at the dinner table, it's not like I'm texting my friends talking about football or soccer or stupid group chats. It's like, it's somebody who needs me right now, and that's why I'm answering, which was always a message that I tried to tell them, but then again, it's like when we're eating, everybody's looking at something else besides like what's going on. But it's pretty funny because like my daughter always call, and they all have like their own ringtone or chime. So I know like when they're calling. So if I'm in a meeting, I look down and I see that they're calling, like I'll always pick up, and she'll laugh because I'm like, hey, you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm just calling to say hi. I'm like, all right, well, I gotta go. She's like, okay, call me later, Dad. And I'm like, all right. So I'm like, I always feel, then I call her later and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I was with somebody. She's like, Dad, why do you pick up? I'm like, I don't know, because you're my kid.
Well, I'm
like,
the opposite. So I have my phone down, like upside down, and they'll call me like 10 times, and then they'll call Marco.
Yeah.
They're like, he always answers.
He always answers. Yeah.
Oh, but if he doesn't answer, then he has it forwarded to the office, and then they answer.
They answer,
so the
and then
kids
they
know
get a
that
hold of them.
somebody's going to help them.
Yeah, so somebody's going to get a hold of them. Most like rewarding part, I feel like in this industry, we're always happy when an investor gets the investment, the buyer gets the home, the seller sells the home, or, we're continuing these relationships. But for yourself, I mean, this is super rewarding because you're essentially like opening up people's eyes to harm, God forbid, like, you know what I mean? Like that could be harming them and their families and their pets and everything. But for yourself, like, what do you feel is like the most rewarding part of Apex?
I feel like a strong sense of like comfort in like our team. I think the team is so neat. Like Marcia, we have a sales specialist, and she goes into people's homes and she gets really intimate with them. I did her job before she did it. Yeah. And just like, leaning into people and listening to their story, because everybody has a different story and a different want and a need. And then watching the technicians, I feel like the finished product, they're so proud of it. Yeah. Like they're so proud of what they've crafted, and it's not just like, it's not every system's the same. So they're creating, and Marcia has a big part of that too, like the design. So they work together, but then ultimately they walk away like satisfied that they saw something. So
it is great.
It gets me excited. Yeah. We have a group thread. And we're like, hey, got it down from 11.9 to 0.9, and or whatever, and everybody's like, wow, thumbs up. And
it's a win. Yeah, it's a win for so many reasons. But I mean, the gratifying feeling of this industry is amazing, right? I mean, we're always like before this, I used to have a DJ company with my dad, and I feel like he would tell me like, you're not DJing funerals, you're DJing people's happiest moments, baptism, confirmation, graduations. Like you're always around happy people. So I feel like having a job that's like super gratifying is important for all of us. And I think any like more, I mean, you're only 2 years into the radon, but like most memorable experiences, or we don't want to talk about bad ones, but
I would just say some of the relationships that I've built, like even over text messages, is so cool. You know, like one of the guys, one of our clients, he bought this house in Bethany. And he goes, I can't really afford too much with the system because he had to put money in escrow because he had to have a bridge because his septic system was on the other side of the water. It was like the coolest thing. And now I drive by all the time. I see his bridge, and it's like all lit up and stuff. But his system was, his bedroom was directly above like the basement. Mm-hmm. So he was, when they tested, it was in his bedroom where they tested, right? So not a basement, a livable basement, like a scary basement. Yeah. So it's cool. Like every time I drive by, it's like, oh, hey, there's Steve. You know.
Awesome.
I look at his bridge.
so you do that with your kids, or you drive by? Like I'm usually like, I sold that. I did that. I put that system in. I did that. That's pretty cool.
We do that all the time.
So we're heading into the holiday season. January, you were telling me, is Radon Awareness Month. So tell me a little bit about that.
So it's just a month to bring about awareness and to let people know the causes and effects of radon. So in January, or in the winter, actually, it's a great time to test because, like you were saying before, you want to keep the doors and windows closed as much as possible. You can do like normal in and out, but it shows you like the best of the average of the whole year. Okay. That's one of the reasons why we do it. So January's Radon Awareness Month, so we do free test kits, and then so people call us, and we're happy to give those out.
That's awesome.
And then if it comes back low, then you just test again in 2 years, and if it comes back high, then we'll help them with a solution.
Love that. That's really good. So that's awesome information to. We'll definitely put all that information on here. Melanie, this is awesome. I feel like we're definitely going to test my house. I want to know, and we have a couple properties I would definitely like to. Just to make sure, I feel like, do you, by the way, do you like a lot of investors call you like for houses, or?
They call us if it came back high.
Yeah, like but even if they own it, they don't like, hey, call, see if, no.
Not as much.
Yeah, okay. I might start a trend.
You definitely start a trend.
I don't know, because I feel like it's like you want to know, you know what I mean? Like I would definitely want to have some, kept people living in houses and stuff like that, so you definitely want to make sure. But this was awesome. Thank you so much for coming. No, it was my pleasure. Look into the camera, tell everybody where they could find you, follow you, email you if they have any questions or concerns. So it's Apex Radon Solutions. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and you can give us a call, 203-747-1808, 203-747-1808. It's close to my personal phone numbers. So you're like, oh, watch it. Yeah, we'll have all the information on here anyway. Great. But thank you so much for coming in. See you guys next time on The Sounds of Real Estate.